Hey nerds, ended up with the Celica here while summoning just randomly, which is neat. I don't mind it. I mean, it's cool to have Celica again, but I'm about to do something that might make people very squeamish, so just hold on a second, okay? Just bear with me. Don't get upset with me. I already have a Celica I'm pretty happy with, and her IVs were not exactly the most amazing things ever, so don't get too mad, okay? Don't get ridiculously upset. I didn't want to kill an Olivia for this. And since when she popped up, I was just like, oh, this is neat. Which one of you is the one I want? Granted, not the best IVs, but I will take it. Just blip. Next. And bup. There we go. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's probably gonna make someone upset in some form, but don't get too upset, okay, guys? Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Get glad. All right. I also managed to get. Where are you, my darling innocent goddess? By which I mean I got Tailtea. Not the best IVs, but at least I got her. That's neat. And I got another Ziggy Stardust. Anyways. We're not here to talk about Ziggy, though. We're here to talk about a certain character that we kind of looked at a little bit earlier in that video about power crepes. Still very hungry. Still, nonetheless, let's just take a look at this, shall we? So first up, we've already seen his stats here. I'm going to go over what exactly he has on him for those who want to know, and chances are, if I am to go off patterns when it comes to how IS tends to do things, we should either see him later this week, as in towards the weekend, or the next weekend, or early next week, even. But between this weekend and, you know, Monday, I would say, probably. That's just because that's usually how they do it when they announce a banner. They usually put the character that's coming, like, 6 or 7 days after. But, nonetheless, let's talk about this, shall we? So first up, I'm just going to mention that his special ability from his weapon, you know, he has a legendary tome, that of course is Volflame, and Volflame, what that does is at the start of turn, all foes in cardinal directions with res 1 or lower, you know, 1 more or lower than that unit, suffer attack and resistance -4. So he basically has attack and res ploy, which is interesting and kind of odd, but hey, I mean, that's a pretty interesting weapon, and it's certainly something that will get a lot of use out of it, because I'm just going to show you, I'm going to overlay his level 40 stats on top of this, okay guys, just so you can see. Here are, well, there's his level 40 stats, and as you can see, we also need to mention that while he does have Volflame, and of course, you know, his speed is not bad at all. His resistance is actually fairly good at 33, which means that if you are up against some really powerful units, unfortunately, he's not, you know, the armored mage that we were thinking about. A lot of people were like going off the leaks. I'm pretty sure that our leaker back there may have thought Arden was technically the same kind of thing. Perhaps could easily maybe have gotten them mixed up and said that, you know, Arvis was an armored mage. Fortunately, he is not. Instead, we got Arden as well, who actually looks pretty good too, so, you know, why not? We do need more red tome units, and Arvis can hopefully fit that bill. Let me just point out that he also has defense ploys, so technically, he has 3 ploys that he can launch at once. Granted, they are below his resistance level, which means that, well, he's going to be a debuff for extreme at a very high distance and very far from that. I mean, Jesus. We also, of course, have to mention the fact that he has Recovering, which, just in case you don't remember me talking about this earlier, Recovering is a B skill slot that restores 10 HP at the start of each turn, meaning that it is a renewal 4 in a sense, but it cannot be inherited and it cannot be moved to any other character. It is something that is exclusive to him right now. I have a strange feeling that a lot of these ring abilities that are coming along will eventually be moved over to other units sometime in the future, just as an exclusive ability that they can have, but still, recovering for him is pretty substantial. It could be a very big benefit for a red tome unit who can heal every turn. It's certainly something that a lot of people will look forward to. Of course, he has the great resistance that he can then use to pivot towards his ploys. His speed is adequate. It's not, I was kind of hoping for a bit more coming out of our good old friend Arvis, considering his stats in his original game. But, I mean, technically, he's actually a pretty interesting looking unit, and something I think will be very fascinating to see in game. Mostly just because of recovering and his weapon. That matched with Defense Ploy, it's just going to be a very wild unit. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be our next Grand Hero battle. Before people ask, that leak was still there. Who knows? Maybe Ira might end up being one too. It's really hard to tell, because technically Ira has weird ways of being recruited, just like, I guess, Navarre in one way or another. But still, nonetheless, I'm really looking forward to him, and you should be too. Just because of those abilities. I've said this before. It's really odd that all of these units, just all of them, have, of course, a very odd ability that they can have. Just that non-inheritable ability. But Arvis, the fact that he has these skills that will allow him to at least stay alive fairly well. And of course, constantly debuff your enemies. I mean, you're going to be nerfing their attack, their defense, and their resistance if you manage to boost up not only his resistance, but also, if they are rather low in resistance as well. So those more melee-based units will be walking into slaughter, probably, in some ways. Especially with archers, especially with Ziggy Stardust out there, and all these other characters. My god, it's going to be a weird month here. This stuff is really hardcore, but still, I figured I would give you my overview of what is happening with Arvis, and while he's not armored, it still looks like he will be partially, at least somewhat useful, and we did need some better, stronger Red Tome units out there, so take of it what you will. And while his stats, while his speed stat is a little low, 31's not terrible by any means at all, so yeah. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go level up my Ziggy Stardust. Are you guys excited for Arvis? Tell me what you think. Anyways, before I go, big thanks to our data miner community over on the Game Press Discord. You guys do fantastic work. I can't thank you enough for everything you do. And I need to say that again and again and again, or else, pretty sure they'll kill me. You don't want me to die, right, guys? If you've watched the whole video through, type in, I'm sure this'll go well, death to sages. Anyways, catch you guys later!